Hi, welcome. I'm Dave Stiegel, a shareholder at Lawton & Cates. I appreciate you checking out this video. Today we're going to talk about your rights as it relates to interacting with a police officer during a traffic stop. In a previous video, I had spoke about understanding your rights and exercising them in the context of a police-citizen encounter, and hopefully in a future video I'll get an opportunity to talk about exercising your rights in the context of your own home. Okay? As always, if anything I say sparks a question or you'd like to talk more about it, feel free to contact me directly. You can either leave a comment below the video here, or you can, my contact information is available on the link to this video. You can either email me or call me at your convenience. Okay? As always, my only goal in providing this video is to hopefully give you some brief, concise, somewhat helpful information that you can use to better understand your rights if you're involved in a traffic stop from the police. Okay? The same constitutional amendment at play, the Fourth Amendment, both the federal Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution and Article 1, Section 11 of the Wisconsin Constitution. It deals with the prohibition against unreasonable government searches and seizures. Okay? And when it comes to our rights in terms of vehicles, what a lot of people misunderstand is that we have a very, very low expectation of privacy when we're driving in public in our vehicles. Okay? Vehicles are much different than our homes. As I'll explain, hopefully again in a future video, when we're in our homes or dealing with constitutional protections that deal with our residences, our expectation of privacy is at its highest. As I explained, when we're doing a police-citizen encounter, when I'm just walking out in public, I have very, very little expectation of privacy. After all, I'm walking out in public. I'm exposing myself to public view and the information that emits from that. Okay? So in a vehicle, it's more in the middle ground. There are far less constitutional protections in a car as you do a home, but perhaps a little bit more than if you were just out and about walking out on the street or on the sidewalk. Okay? Here's a couple things that you should know about a traffic stop. The police, in my opinion, have the legal ability to pull almost any car over. Okay? Because all they need to do so is what's called reasonable suspicion or probable cause that you're either committing any traffic violation or any, crime, traffic crime, drunk driving, reckless driving, things of that sort. I explained in the first video the differences between probable cause and reasonable suspicion. I won't go back through that in as much detail, but suffice to say, probable cause is not a very high standard. It's far less than requiring proof beyond a reasonable doubt, which is necessary to support a conviction. Okay? And reasonable suspicion is lesser still. So, let me make up a little scenario for you. If I'm out driving and if I'm committing any traffic violation, 2 miles an hour over the speed limit, or the sticker on my registration is in the wrong spot or missing, or the light bulb, I have a headlight out, any one of those very, very, very minor infractions provides the police with the legal ability to pull my car over and conduct an investigation. What comes of that investigation is a little bit outside the scope of this video, but suffice to say, there are so many different traffic rules and regulations that, again, in my opinion, if the police follow a car long enough, they'll find an objective reason to pull someone over. Okay? And that's all they need is an objective reason. It's a very low standard. This wording of our law permits what's called a pretext traffic stop. Okay, and this is a source of aggravation of a lot of segments of our society. Here's what commonly happens. The police follow a car because they're suspicious of it for some reason, either the people that are inside the car or the car itself. Perhaps I'm out driving with my friends and the police think I'm either drunk or high or have drugs in my car or something like that. They may follow me wanting to pull me over so they can interview me or search my car and look for those drugs or whatever they think I have. Okay? The cop's reason in their mind for pulling me over doesn't matter, okay? As long as they have an objective reason to do so, it'll be ruled a valid traffic stop, okay? So if I'm pulled over in my little made-up example here for running a stop sign or speeding or going 3 miles an hour over the speed limit, the cops may never even give me a ticket for that or not even care about that. They may just use it as a reason to launch their legal investigation, okay? And there's a lot of misunderstanding about that. One of the biggest takeaways I'd like to impart to you on this video is that you should appreciate you have very, very little expectation of privacy in a vehicle, okay? Here's another way I'll point that out to you. In your home, absent you giving the police permission, if they want to enter and conduct a search, they need a search warrant or an arrest warrant that requires them getting judicial approval ahead of time to do so. In the context of your vehicle, the cops don't need a search warrant to search your car. All they need is probable cause that your car contains evidence of a crime. And as I've talked about many times already, probable cause is not a super stringent standard, okay? The odor of marijuana, the sighting of an empty beer can, or some other relatively minor sort of sighting or observance can provide the cops with probable cause sufficient to search your car. You should also keep this in mind. If the cops have probable cause to search your car, that generally gives them the ability to search almost every area of your car, and they will generally search more thoroughly than you probably were anticipating, okay? They don't need a search warrant to do so. There's a lot of, in my experience at least, a lot of misunderstanding about that point as well. So here's my recommendations. You should be careful always when you're driving. That doesn't necessarily pertain to the Fourth Amendment, okay? But you don't want to give the cops a free reason to interact with you, okay? So check out your car. Make sure the headlights are working. Make sure the registration, make sure it's registered. Make sure the outward appearance of the car is in compliance with the law, okay? If you have no muffler or you're pulled over, the likelihood of a cop's pulling you over for that, just if nothing else, to check out the car is pretty high, okay? So if you're looking to minimize contact with the police, one of the biggest things you can do is make sure the vehicle you're driving doesn't have any obvious violations, okay? I'd encourage you to be a little bit careful of tint. Tint is an area that the police commonly use to pull cars over. Talking about the details of tint is outside the scope of this video, but there's a way to do it legally. If you need more information about the law regarding tint or how to do it, feel free to contact me, okay? But I hope this is somewhat helpful for you, okay, that you understand that you don't have very high expectation of privacy in a vehicle, that the police can fairly easily pull a car over and fairly easy conduct a search of that car and perhaps even the occupants, you or the people that are riding in the car, okay? That traffic stop generally falls into that investigatory detention that I talked about on the previous video, okay, where it was a consensual encounter, a reasonable or investigative detention supported by reasonable suspicion or probable cause to arrest. Generally speaking, the law treats traffic stops as that investigatory detention, reasonable suspicion, which means during a traffic stop, a cop's going to be able to ask you questions. Some of those questions you may not want to answer or may not be in your best interest to answer, okay? There's a lot of misconception about asking for an attorney or not answering police questions. I feel like as human beings, it's somewhat intuitive or natural for us to answer questions when we're asked them. You need to help break that misconception, okay? There's nothing more important you can do to protect yourself than to know your rights and then to intelligently exercise them, okay? So, understand, you have limited ability to stop the cops from pulling you over, okay? The best thing you can do is understand your rights. If they pull you over, the same recommendations apply. Do not give consent to search your vehicle. Do not answer police questions. You can identify yourself, you can be polite and respectful, but beyond that, you shouldn't answer a whole lot of other police questions, okay, without consulting with an attorney, okay? I hope that's helpful for you. You see traffic stops a lot. A lot of people that may never be accused of committing a crime are involved in a traffic stop. So if you have questions about your specific situation, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to give you my brief advice about what I would do specifically as it relates to your situation. Okay? I hope that's helpful to you in some small way. If you have questions, please contact me. Otherwise, I do appreciate your time and attention, and I will talk to you at a different time. Thank you.